We'll be doing the Easter eggs and predictions for Season 7, Episode 3 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spoiler War spoiler now caught up. So the episode's title is called Alien Commies from the Future, which was a reference to what the guy said at the end of the episode, thinking that our S.H.I.E.L.D. team was alien commies from the future. So yeah, we catch up with the Chromicons, and they mentioned that Kane was in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s captivity, and I believe the first one I mentioned in the first episode was Abel. So I believe this is the first time they mentioned Kane, or it could be the other way around. But I guess it would confirm that what I said before is Abel and Kane were the same, or those two Chromicons in the episode. So yeah, but we meet this new Chromicon called Sybil, and she's the Predictor. But in as far as I could find, I really didn't look too much into it, but other than Sybil are oracles in ancient Greece, and I didn't look too much further into it, but that's basically what Sybil is a predictor, and that's an oracle. So yeah, and they're dealing with this thing called Helios, which is a god and personification of the sun. And if there's any detail that's important to those two aspects of like people or objects, just comment down below if it relates to the show at all, because I didn't really look into it too much. But yeah, and they actually this scene took place actually in the inescapable mind prison that was introduced last season in episode 6 with Fitzsimmons. So yeah, and we have catching up with the team in 1951. They're trying to figure out what's going on, but Mac actually puts his foot down and starts yelling at Deke and Daisy for doing what they did, trying to kill Freddy. And Simmons explains what's going on and how this time travel's working. They're just following the Chromicon's trail and saying that they're drifting. And Deke mentions Days of Thunder, which is a Tom Cruise movie about racing, as far as I know. So yeah, and apparently all the areas, including the area that they're in now, Area 51, is an actual Shield base. Which Daisy mentions that her Sky persona back in season 1 was right about the scary men in dark suits and aliens and all that kind of stuff. I guess because she was a conspiracy theorist. So yeah, and they're their first idea of what the Chromicons want is to build ship killers. So that's what they thought they were doing, because they were looking for a power source. As far as I know, that's what they were saying that they were doing. But that's not the case. But apparently in the future of 2091, Deke's future, they actually did have ship killers with this power source that they're dealing with in this episode. So yeah, and during the diner scene, it could be a reference, could be not, but since it's the final season, it could be callbacks. But during Mac's conversation with Yo-Yo, she mentions it's going to be a while to bounce back, which bouncing back was the title of the episode for season 1 or season 3 episode 11, which was the introduction of Yo-Yo. So it's possible that was a reference to that, but I don't know for sure if that was. But we have on the Daisy and Coulson side, Daisy mentions you are a highly sophisticated robot version of yourself, which was basically what Daisy said about Coulson in season 1 episode 7, when she said he's acting like a robot version of himself. So it's a nice little callback there. And I don't know if this is actually true or not, but the diner that they're in, someone said on Twitter it reminded them of a diner that the show Angel used at one point with Fred and Gunn. But I don't know if that actually is the same restaurant or not. So it could be not. But yeah. And we have their little mission that they're going on with Coulson and Simmons going undercover, which reminded a lot of people of when they went undercover during season 1 episode 13 tracks and whatnot. But it shows exactly how far they've come in of going undercover and whatnot. But their mission, they had to they had to go a little creative and whatnot with Simmons' identity, and she has to go undercover as Peggy Carter, which we know she's been a fangirl at least since season 2, episode 8, when she found out that Peggy Carter was holding these files in her hand. So yeah, but I don't know exactly when this happened, so I'm just gonna mention it here. But apparently there was a mistake in this episode, and I don't know anything about cars, so I wouldn't have noticed. But apparently there was a 1957 Chevy in 1955, so there's a little bit of a time, like the time is a bit off for that Chevy to be there, but I don't know which one it was, like what car it was, because I don't know anything about cars. So yeah, but they name drop a couple of actors and whatnot throughout the episode. One of them was John Wayne, who was apparently America Cares. I don't know much. I don't know anything about him as far as I know. But as far as I could tell from what I've looked up was that he's in a lot of westerns, which is now a second time that they referenced or has an Easter egg for a western. I don't know if they would ever go to that time frame because it doesn't make sense for Shield and Hydra and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what they could do to prevent Shield from existing, but since they're going ahead and forward in time, I highly doubt they would be detouring and going back further in time. So yeah, but I'm glad I'm not the only one that this the scene with the old lady in the bus with Coulson, it reminded a lot of people, including myself, of when Captain Marvel was looking for the Skrull in the bus and she punched an old lady. But in here, instead of punching the old lady, Coulson makes her cry because he uses the test from Blade Runner to figure out who is a replica or not by saying that you flip a turtle over his back and whatnot. And it's a little kind of cool reference because Coulson is now an LMD, which is a replica of the original Coulson. So yeah, it's kind of cool, little Easter egg there. But we have Deke and Daisy back on the Zephyr, and like I mentioned in the last episode, we've seen the growth of Deke, how he's changed since we've met him, and he actually mentions that to Daisy, saying he's not the same person that Daisy met in 2091. So yeah, just like everyone else, Deke has had growth, so I really like that. But we find out that in the last 10 years since Agent Carter has season 2 ended, Sousa is no longer actually partners with Peggy Carter because he's called the former partner of Peggy Carter. So yeah, but we have more name drops of one was Jimmy Stewart, which I know of him. I've seen a couple of his movies, Vertigo and Where Window. Other than that, I don't know much of what the next two people are, other than they're also actors, and that was Gary Cooper and Van Johnson. You know what I mean. But I don't know anything about those movie actors or what movies they were in. So yeah, but apparently, Deke, I believe it was, found a list of names, and apparently Max says they're the earliest power players of Shield, which I looked them all up. I cannot find a single reference to them in the comics. They could be comic book like writers, illustrators, or whatever, but I cannot find them actually in the comics. So if you want to look through that list, go ahead. But the only thing I found interesting is that a lot of their names were tied to characters from the comics, and including people from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. Like their last name were. So yeah. And we have Deke having to go and interrogate this guy to get information from him and whatnot. And he mentions stupid white privilege, which is a very timely thing that's going on in the world right now. So yeah. But we have more references to the Agent Carter show with because Daisy's basically talking to Sousa, trying to get basically the situation under control of because it went haywire after a while, a bit in a few very quick. But she names drops Isodyne, saying it's been taken down along with Hugh Jones and the Council of Nine. So that was all to deal with season 2. So yeah, and she says, "Oh, and that's all we could talk about since it was canceled after season 2. We don't know anything about afterwards." So yeah, but apparently Sousa knows about the Hydra agents and Shield, and he went into contact with this CIA to get help and whatnot to stop Hydra from getting into Shield. But we obviously know it doesn't happen that way. So yeah, and we find out what the mission actually is for the Chromicons, and it's to use this power source to blow up the brain trust of Shield, basically. And Deke actually mentions that or references his time almost dying in season 5, episode 10, with Enoch basically doing the exact same thing as these evil Chromicons are doing, but in that case it was for the good of mankind instead of the evil of mankind. So yeah, and they had to bring in May to fight the Chromicons and whatnot to find out who they actually were, and they go undercover as women pilots, which were called Wasps. And Mac actually mentions or says it's time to bring in the cavalry, which is May's nickname. So yeah, and I did not know about this actually, but apparently in real life, there was this incident back in season 1 where Elizabeth Hentrance got a lot of hate for her accent, which in this episode they kind of make a little bit of joke out of it, saying that Simmons actually has a terrible English accent, but even though it's her real accent, so I don't know why people actually had a problem with that. So yeah, and the last two little things that I really thought were cool, which was the female Chromicon that they were dealing with was actually a part of the American Ninja Warrior show, and then little callback here saying that Daisy can't hack the machine because it's ancient, which we don't really see Daisy hack much, but they always do reference it in every season. So yeah, for predictions, I haven't really predicted much about Simmons lately, I don't think. So I was trying to figure out exactly why they keep saying, "Oh, it's been this many years" or whatnot. They haven't said that, and I think it's possibly a way that they could. People are saying that it could be LMD, which obviously I don't think it is now because of the whole EMP scenario that they were doing this episode. But it's possible. I don't know if it's true or not, that they might be introducing the Infinity Formula from the comics, which is, as far as I know, it slows your aging down or stops it entirely. So she could be years and years old, just like Enoch is, and that she just took it so she doesn't age. So it's possible. I don't know if that actually is true, but going along with that, there's a character in the comics, as far as I know, that uses the Infinity Formula, and that is Nick Fury. And I would think it would be kind of cool if they brought Nick Fury back in some sort of way, because they're dealing with S.H.I.E.L.D. and trying to take him down. And since they're moving forward in time, it's possible that they could go to 2014 and try to take out Fury before the season 1 finale, because if that were the case, Coulson would never become director, and Fitzsimmons would be dead and whatnot. So that is a big part of S.H.I.E.L.D. there. If you're taking out Fury, Coulson, and Fitzsimmons, that would be a huge blow to S.H.I.E.L.D. already after the Hydra reveal that had taken over just in that scene or season. So it would be interesting if the Chromicons go back and go forward in time to 2014 and try to deal with the Fury's toolbox and all that kind of stuff at that time frame. So yeah, Comment down below if I missed any Easter eggs or references, and if you have any predictions for the next upcoming episode. See ya.